So, why don't Americans trust the federal government? Brought to you by the Daily Sheeple. Today, May 10th. I don't need to read the article. I already know why we don't trust the federal government. But let's see what the article says. Oops, there we go. Okay. Why do polls continue to indicate that American people feel forgotten and mistrust the federal government? The Pew Research Center has released its annual poll numbers regarding the percentage of Americans who trust the federal government. The release of these new polls add to a growing amount of evidence that the public's view of the federal government has been in a steady decline for decades. Now, I don't trust the federal government, because they're ran by another government, a secret government. So, I don't trust people who keep secrets. I don't. So, the release of these new polls add to a growing amount of evidence that the public's view of the federal government has been in a steady decline for decades. The Pew's Research Center sampled 1,501 adults between April 5th to April 11th. Only 20% of those polled said they trust the government to do what is right, always, or most of the time. A whopping, look at that, 68% admitted that they only trusted the government some of the time. The other 11%, I'm included in that. I guess they never polled me. Okay, I was never polled. Okay, a lot of people weren't polled. So, I'm going to be a 1%er here, and I'm going to make that a 12%. Because they didn't poll me. Because I have no trust in the government to do what is right whatsoever. Not for us people. They do what's right for them. And they're gangsters. Okay, the polls also indicate that 55% of those interviewed say they are frustrated with the federal government. Wait, 55%? Okay, well, that's what they say. That's what the polls say. That's what the Pew says. That they are frustrated with the federal government, with another 22% acknowledging they are angry at the government, and only 19% of people responded saying they were content. Whoa. Wake up, federal government. Nobody likes you. Go away. Shush. Shush. Take your billions of dollars and go buy yourself an island and leave us normal people alone. We can govern ourselves, you creeps. Sorry. Stephen Smith, a political scientist. Really? What classifies somebody as a political scientist? I didn't think politics was a science. I thought politics was the way to screw the people. At Washington University in St. Louis told MarketWatch that Americans often report feeling forgotten. Yeah, I can agree with that. Because you know what? That feeling of being forgotten is not just a feeling. Most Americans are forgotten. What she says is just another way to express distrust for the feds. There is a great deal of frustration with Washington, and virtually every poll, no matter what question asked, shows that. The Pew Research, the Pepe Le Pew, that's what I'm going to call it, the Pepe Le Pew research numbers also show that the public distrusts the government just as much as they did prior to the 2016 presidential election. Quotes, as has been the case for the last decade, public trust in government remains near historically low level, Pepe Le Pew reports. At no point in the last decade has there been more than 30% of those polled by Pew expressed trust in the federal government. Think about that for a moment. If these poll numbers represent views around the nation, that would mean less than 1/3 of the people in the United States can confidently say, less than 1/3 of the people, wow, in the United States can confidently say they can trust the federal government. Yeah. Is that less than 1/3% of the people? Grow up, you brainwashed dead zombies. Okay. The very institution that is supposed to protect the life, liberty, and happiness of the people cannot be trusted by more than half the people living involuntarily under its rule. Wow. Wow, 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 wow. Okay, well, before we discuss what a phenomenal opportunity this presents, we must ask why. Really? You guys have to ask why? Alright. I know why, but let's see what you have to say. Why is that decade after decade, Americans are reporting less and less trust for the federal government, and thus the people ruining it. Oh, I'm sorry, running it. No, I liked it before. The people ruining it. This data indicates that regardless of which political party is in the office, the people continue to have mistrust for the words of our federally elected officials. What reason do the American people have to distrust the federal government? Could it be that in the days of the Vietnam War activists, musicians, poets, actors, and other outspoken individuals were investigated and infiltrated under COINTELPRO? Do you think Americans are lacking faith because they remember being sold the lies of the Second Iraq War? Or perhaps because they know the federal government is attempting to sell the people into another war based on lies? Maybe the people of this land recognize the feds have created a panopticon surveillance and police state that violates rights, infringes upon privacy, and crushes anyone who boldly stand against the authoritarianism that rules the day. I say all the above. But whatever the reason, we must recognize that this growing lack of trust for the federal government presents a momentous occasion for those forward thinkers who are planning the next stage of human evolution. For those who recognize that the federal government, as a matter of fact, all government, is an institution of violence, theft, and lies. Amen. That's why we don't trust the federal government. They're an institution of violence, theft, and lies. We can create a better world without this institution, but it's going to take organizing and challenging the current paradigm the status quo with radical new ideas on how free humans can self-organize and strive without overreaching arms and prying eyes and ears of corporate state powers. Okay. One of the saddest aspects of the new Pepe Le Pew numbers is the fact that more Republicans trust the government now than they did prior to the selection of President Trump. That should be a question mark there. On the other hand, I know we've got two of them. Now Democrats are more likely to report a mistrust on the federal government. Despite low trust overall, for the first time since George W. Bush was president, Republicans expressed more trust in the federal government than Democrats. The statistics illustrate that the constant tug-of-war between the false left / right paradigm in mainstream American pseudo-politics. Yes, that's what I said. Democrats were likely to report trusting the federal government under a Democrat, and the Republicans are now doing the same. These people are still trapped in the matrix and believe there are major differences between the corporate parties of Democrats and Republicans. Interestingly, Pew reported the numbers of registered Democrats with trust in the government is the lowest in nearly 60 years. This again presents an opportunity for activists to reach out to the disenfranchised freethinkers on the left. We can create a better world, but it will require much work. Future generations will thank us for the work we do today. Vacate the state and pursue solutions for a better world. And there you have it. Truer words have never been spoken. Right here. We can create a better world, and that's not placed as a question mark. It's a statement. But it will require much work, and future generations will thank us for the work we do today, which is important. So, vacate the state and pursue solutions for a better world. Thank you for watching, everybody, and I do hope every single one of you lives in happiness, peace, and joy. Until next time, thanks for watching.